Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with your host Simon Conboy here. Just continuing with the first wave of free agency reviews for each team. Today's episode will be covering America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously a very, very positive season for them last year. Lost their first game in the playoffs after getting the number one seed, which is of course disappointing considering how it all went, but really the team, overachieved when you've got a rookie quarterback, a rookie running back. To get to that point is a great achievement. So that result really shouldn't take away from it. They started that game a bit slow. It ended up costing them. The two rookies, fantastic seasons. Dak Prescott had one of the finest game manager type seasons. I'm not using game manager as an insult. That was his role. He played it superbly. Didn't make many mistakes at all. Made big plays when it was necessary. Ezekiel Elliott carried the load, led the league in rushing. That pair have really set the Cowboys up for a pretty bright future where you think they should be contending in the NFC for years to come at this point. Offensively, of course, still a very talented group. That offensive line is absolutely fantastic. Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, they make life easier for everyone on that offense. Still got Des Bryant, who's a true number one. Jason Witten still performing at a reasonable level, even though I suspect he will need replacing at some point. Defensively, overachieved, I think. They're coached very well. Rod Marinelli really got them to perform above their talent level, playing quite a simple scheme. That's really, to me, if you look at this team, where a lot of the needs reside. So just taking a look at my needs for the Cowboys going into free agency, I had defensive end, although this could extend to defensive tackle. They really need to improve the overall talent level on that defensive line. There's not really a player that worries, I think, an opposing offensive coordinator too much. Of course, they've been unfortunate that Randy Gregory didn't work out. It's just one of those, unfortunately. I've also got cornerback Mo Claiborne, who finally played up to his draft position last season, even though he missed a chunk of it. Played very well, but he's a free agent. Brandon Carr's a free agent. There's a lot of needs there. They've also lost Barry Church, so there's a real need in that defensive backfield to add some more talent. They need bodies there, and could really do with re-signing Claiborne, in all honesty. Also got tight end. Jason Witten is a fantastic player still. Still has something to offer. If they can get a tight end, I don't think it's necessarily the biggest need, but I've simply put it because I think if there's one team that can utilise a two tight end offense incredibly effectively because of the run pass balance that they can offer, it's the Cowboys. And getting a talented heir apparent, especially considering the quality of the tight ends in this year's draft, it just seems like it seems like a logical move that would really help the offense this year and in the future. So as you might expect, they were quite successful last season. They're generally quite creative with the cap, but normally hovering near the area where they can't make too many big signings, although Jerry tends to find a way. Not been enormously active thus far. Re-signed Terrence Williams, their number 2 receiver. 4 years, $17 million, 9.5 guaranteed. It's not particularly inspiring. I think Williams is a low-end number 2 receiver. You'd really expect him to put up better numbers considering the guys that are around him. I think he had around 600-700 yards last season. You've got Dez as a clear number 1 there. You've got a solid slot guy in Cole Beasley. You've got a top running back. They didn't throw the ball a huge amount, but I feel like Williams has underachieved in his career, and I feel like this signing simply made. He knows the system. He's been there a while, and they've been able to bring him back on a fairly reasonable contract. But I think if the offense wants to take another step in regards to the passing game, possibly should have been a bit more ambitious. There were better guys out there on the market. The contract, it's a bit high for my liking. I really think they could have done better. Understandable in terms of continuity why they'd bring him back, but I don't think it's a particularly exciting signing. They could end up regretting the length of the deal because, as I say, I feel the player has underachieved since he joined the team. The only other signing that they've made is Nolan Carroll, the cornerback who played for the Eagles last year, who's been a bit of a whipping boy at times throughout his career, but actually played reasonably well last season. Not as bad as some of the critics would have you believe. It's a perfectly reasonable deal, 3 years, 10 mil. It's a body, as I said early, they need defensive backs in Dallas badly. Be interesting to see. I expect them to bring in someone else at some point. It's a deep draft for corners. They'll probably look that route as well. See if Claiborne decides to head back. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. There's still a need at the position. This is a fine signing. You'd rather he's, a number 2 or a number 3. Probably rather he was a nickel guy than playing on the outside, where we have seen him getting burned before, hence the large amounts of criticism that the player has received. But at the end of the day, it's a solid signing. It's a perfectly fine contract. It's an experienced player. You'd expect he would be able to contribute in the defensive backfield, which, as I say, still has a lot of holes. They've lost a fair few players, particularly in the secondary. So 2 safeties. Barry Church has gone to Jacksonville. JJ Wilcox has gone to Tampa. Ronald Leary has signed with the Broncos. And Terrell McLean has signed with the Redskins. The safeties will be the hardest to replace. I didn't initially have safety as a need. I think it's become a need now. To be honest, there's now a need for help at every level of that Cowboys defence. They're probably, I would expect, going to take a step backwards next year. There's the potential for a real regression there. As I said, I believe they overachieved last season with the loss in talent in the defensive backfield and the lack of signings that have been made thus far. I think it's going to be a thin group without much top-end talent. It could potentially bite them. I was expecting them to be a bit more aggressive, particularly in regards to addressing the defensive line. That's not really happened. There are still some guys out there, particularly nose tackle types. They could probably do with one at this point in time. Expect it to be a defense-heavy draft for the Cowboys. The offense looks pretty well stocked. As I say, the offensive line is fine. Receiving group, even though I criticised the Williams move, we've still got Beasley, still got Bryant. It's still fine. Witten's okay still. Possibly, I say possibly, nearing the end of his career. But until I see a drop off, he's still going to be a contributor. So expect to see the Cowboys attack the defense positions in the draft. Needs all over the place there. Offensively, I expect them to carry on where they left off next season. If they can get that defense right, they'll be a real contender. Thanks very much for checking out this video. Should have the NFC South as well as the East up today. I'm going to try and get through all of the NFC today, so that'd be great. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'd really like to get some comments on these videos that I can respond to. Let me know if you agree with my assessment of the Cowboys. If you think they're going to be a contender, was last year a mirage? What do you think the Cowboys need to do? Feel free to give us a shout in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to everybody, and if you've got any suggestions for future shows you'd like me to cover, just let me know. I'll do my best to get them out there. Check out the Patreon page, all that good stuff. Thank you very much for listening. Feel free to check out the rest of the videos. Hope you enjoy them too. And as always, go Bucks.